Howdy again everyone, and to celebrate the end of 2022, because who doesn't want to do that, I thought it might be fun to give out some awards for the best whatever lenses I've tested over the past year. If any of you want to know the sharpest, then that'll come at the end. This year I hit a few milestones in my channel. It's great to be up to 300,000 subscribers now. Who are all you people? Thanks for your support, and without realising at the time, I reviewed my 500th camera lens earlier this year, the rather humble TT Artisan 17mm f1.4. Oh, and it was great to get out of Wales for a change to test the new Nikon Z9 at the London Olympic Velodrome and meet some other photographers at the same time. But of course, it's all about the camera lenses on this channel, so here are awards for lenses I've tested over the past year or so for you to not take too seriously. As usual, links to my full reviews are in the description below, as well as affiliate links if you'd like to buy one, which supports this channel a little bit. Firstly, my favourite zoom lens. I had to agonise over two masterpieces here, the new Nikon Z 24-120mm f4, which was just ridiculously sharp, portable and incredibly fun to use, or the innovative Tamron 35-150mm f2 to 2.8 with its great zoom range but even more astonishing bright maximum aperture. I wish that one were available on Canon RF mount. I'd love to get one for a bit of wedding photography. But ultimately, it has to be the Nikon lens that won out for me. Its much wider starting angle of 24mm and much smaller size and lighter weight mean that this is a kit lens that Canon and Sony users could only dream of. Next, my favourite telephoto lens of the year, and it's another Nikon, the Z 400mm f4.5. Why buy this when you could get the Z 100-400mm lens instead? Most reviewers ask, and that's a very good point, but I couldn't care less because this wonderful, lightweight 400mm lens is razor sharp, has my favourite focal length and a decent maximum aperture, and it can just go with you anywhere, and might even be fast enough for little sports photography. If my choice here sounds weird to you, then I totally get that, but seriously, you just have to try this one out to believe it. It's so much fun to use. Next, my favourite macro lens, and that is definitely the Laowa 90mm f2.8 macro 2x. The only thing more fun than macro photography is getting 2 times closer to your subject again, and this manual focus Laowa lens, with its beautiful look and build quality, will happily do that for you while maintaining excellent sharpness and nice portability. It's good value for money too. Next, my favourite wide-angle lens. There have been a few of them this year, but the one that blew me and most other reviewers away was the brilliant Viltrox 13mm f1.4 autofocus lens for Sony E-mount, Fuji X and Nikon Z. It covers an aps-c image circle where 13mm is still an ultra-wide angle, and with that bright maximum aperture of f1.4 and surprisingly sharp image quality, well, it ended up being one of the few camera lenses I actually tested across 3 different systems because I just couldn't get enough of it. It lends itself so well to sample pictures, nighttime shooting, you name it, and it's one of Viltrox's best lenses by a long way. Next, the best value for money lens of this year. Well, it absolutely has to be the inspirational Samyang AF 135mm f1.8 FE. My gosh, this thing is sharp. Every single aspect of its optics were absolutely stellar. And what an incredibly useful lens for portrait or wedding photography with such a lovely bright maximum aperture. And last time I checked it was on sale, $900 down from $1,000 or £800 here in the UK. This could be a dream lens for all kinds of professional photographers, and it massively undercuts the competition. I think in my review, I said something like, the only excuse for not buying this thing is if you're dead or in jail, and if you're in jail, break out. It's a shame this lens isn't available on other camera systems too. Next, my weirdest review. And this has to go to the Barbie camera. I've never tested a camera before whose head could swivel 360 degrees. Thankfully, it doesn't projectile vomit at the same time like in The Exorcist. This is the first review to feature sample pictures taken by my daughter, who's only 3.5. Thankfully, it's not the kind of camera where you have to worry about things like focusing or white balance, shutter speed, or, well, anything else particularly, and my daughter still plays with it to this day. Next, the most vexing lens for me to test, and this one has to be the Canon FD 35-70mm f4 autofocus. It took me ages to get hold of a decent working copy of this, Canon's first autofocus lens, and it's the only lens I've tested that autofocuses whether or not it's attached to your camera because of its battery compartment, but getting it to work and to focus was a real uphill struggle sometimes. The poor thing was just so old, and testing it was made especially difficult as it doesn't seem to have a manual focus option. Oh, and it took me ages to sell again on eBay, and I lost some money doing so in the meantime. And talking about financial irresponsibility, here comes an award for the camera lens I lost the most money on in reviewing, and that was the fascinating Minolta MC Rokkor 40-80mm f2.8. I thought my review of this fascinating and somewhat legendary old zoom lens with its innovative and curious gearbox zoom mechanism would get loads of views, and sourcing one and actually testing it was a real labour of love. I was so interested to see how it would work and perform, and I did enjoy testing it actually, but I had to pay through the nose for a decent copy of it on eBay, about £700, and I couldn't sell it again for ages, which was incredibly frustrating. Once I finished the review, I had to keep lowering the price until someone from Germany bought it, and I lost at least £200 in the process. Gah. Well, what the heck, it was worth it for another weird lens review, and I genuinely did enjoy just putting the video together in the end. And finally, what I'm sure a few of you have been waiting for, the sharpest lens I tested in 2022. There were definitely a few contenders for this crown, the aforementioned Samyang 135mm f1.8 and the Voigtlander 50mm and 60mm f2 APO Lanthar lenses were especially spectacular, but there has to be one clear winner for me anyway. I know from experience that high-resolution aps-c cameras, like Canon's 32.5 megapixel ones, are ridiculously demanding and chew up even the sharpest camera lenses and spit them out again. That's why I was surprised when Fuji insisted on me borrowing their new 40 megapixel aps-c camera, a Fuji XH2, to test out their also new XF 56mm f1.2 Mark II lens. I thought maybe it would be sharp enough from about f4 or so, but no, this unbelievable lens is resolving close to 40 dense aps-c megapixels of detail, straight from its maximum aperture of f1.2, almost. You could have knocked me down with a feather when I saw the test results. I just kept wondering if that lens had fallen from a spaceship or something. So, Longafachedai, congratulations Fuji, not only on your lovely new 40 megapixel cameras, but also for managing to produce camera lenses that can happily resolve them, even at very bright apertures. Alright, that's it for now. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, as well as if you can think of any better award categories for if I do this again next year. You probably can, quite frankly. Take care everyone, Patreon page in the description below. Thanks for the support, and Happy New Year.